bit of a reading, Paul, if that's all right with you, from the big book.
Yeah, what page?
Page 87.
All right.
If circumstances warrant, we ask our wives or friends to join us in morning meditation. If we belong to a religious denomination which requires a definite morning devotion, we attend to that also. If not members of religious bodies, we sometimes select and memorize a few set prayers which emphasize the principles we've been discussing. There are many helpful books also. Suggestions about these may be obtained from one's priest, minister or rabbi. Be quick to see where religious people are right. Make use of what they offer. As we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show, humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, "Thy will be done." We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become much more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. It works, it really does. We alcoholics are undisciplined, so we let God discipline us in the simple way we've just outlined. But this is not all. There is action and more action. Faith without works is dead. The next chapter is entirely devoted to step 12. There you go.
All right. Hello, everybody. Paul, alcoholic.
Hey, Paul.
Well, there's a statement on page 63 that implies the role of time in the program, which is you go through the quit playing God, it doesn't work idea. Then it says there's a new freedom, there's going to be an archway to freedom. And the cornerstone to that is reliance on a power greater than oneself. And then it says, when you really take this position, things happen. And then it goes like a few sentences and it says being established in this condition. So basically, a lot of these suggestions was when you're sincerely taking the position, you're not established in it at the point. Yes? If you read this, what we just read. Yeah. As we go through the day, we pause. This is why I would imagine if you took a survey of people in the program, they're saying the Serenity Prayer was much more pronounced in the early years than it is in the later years. Yes, because now the attitude and outlook that captures the Serenity Prayer is in place. You're not combating an old attitude and outlook which is sort of contrary to the Serenity Prayer. So the Serenity Prayer is used to sort of, like almost like an equalizer to start to diminish the old attitude and outlook. But there's points where the old attitude and outlook is diminished and you're moving into a new attitude and a new outlook. And in that new attitude and new outlook, you may find yourself not saying that many prayers anymore. It just may happen because new conditions demand new actions. Yes, they do. You can't use the same old, just sort of like a lot of people are motivated by the fear of what it was like, and that keeps them sober for a while. But as a priest in the beginning of recovery said, step 6 is sort of like what separates the men and the boys and the women and the girls, and it's you leave now the moving away from hell and you're in a process of moving towards heaven. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So these are phases we go through, and there's directions for mostly the directions in the beginning of the book are about how it is when you're introduced to recovery. Yeah. And they didn't have 50 years of recovery. They had 4 years at the most. Mm. So the better way is a longer way than 4 years. It's based on how long the person who's recovering is alive, and a lot of people have been recovering for 60 years. Yeah, and they've been established in that reliance on a higher power for quite a while, and what they're called upon to do or not do is totally different than what you were called upon to do and not do in the beginning, except for the basic of not drinking and using. Yeah, there's a lot of changes in the person because they are recovering. They are recovered from certain causes and conditions that demanded skillful means to deal with. Now maybe the conditions that you're in doesn't have a huge demand of skillful means because you're not trying to get out of what you're not in. Yeah, you're just you've been placed in a position of neutrality. Yeah, do I need a lot of armament and guns and bazookas if I'm placed in a position of neutrality? That's not been my experience. Yeah. I'm not learning spiritual martial arts anymore. Yeah, it's some fucking spiritual judo. Yeah, basically things have really changed, and the problem doesn't exist for me today. Fuck off. So why not act like that? Yeah. If the problem didn't exist for you, would you have 50 solutions at hand? No. You would be the solution. You'd be the effect of the solution. Yeah. You may not be looking for so many more solutions anymore. That's just been the experience. Yeah. So, yeah, when we read the book, it's a lot of the suggestions are current. They're about people, they're about like us when we were coming in. Yeah. I mean, how many times did you say the serenity prayer the first 6 months of sobriety? Are you saying it that many times now? Are you asking thy will be done? Haven't you experienced thy will is done? Yeah? Are you
Mm.
still in the hopes that something's going to override the old condition? Or are you in the condition of the old condition being overridden? Which one? Yeah? If you're still digging yourself out after 30 something years, you're really digging yourself in, my feeling. Seriously, I would seriously question the basis of what's going on if you're still fucking sharpening your shovels all day after 30 something years. That's just my humble opinion. So, yeah, a lot of the readings are based on a level of how much of your house is on fire. Yeah. They don't really go. They tell you the effects of what it's like, but they can't describe it being established in that condition because they weren't for that long. And yeah, I mean, there's some people haven't had a thought about drinking or using for over 30 years. They never did. They had a thought at that point of maybe not drinking, using for 4 years at most. Can you imagine the difference of the mental state? Not having a strong urge or a thought to get loaded for 30 something years would produce a different environment than struggling not to use. Yeah, it would. It would be you'd be breathing in a different atmosphere. Yeah. Your faith would be well directed by the good orderly direction. Yeah, your faith would be in something that's reliable instead of something that's not reliable. Yeah, that's the better way. When does the better way become a fact, not a hope or not an aspiration, but a fact? Yeah, I'm not getting to the better way. I'm in the better way. Yeah, when do we start describing that? Yeah. Yeah, I feel like a lot of us are more sober than our mental state lets on, tell you the truth. That's why when I look at the squares and people are trying to convince me they're really fucked up, I don't see them as fucked up. I don't. I think they're in pretty good hands. They may be in an active denial of that, but they are. Yeah. If they stopped having so much faith in their old ideas, they would recognize, man, I'm in pretty good shape today. Yeah. I mean, who's going to do that for you? Who? Yeah. Who's going to do that for you? So these talks, are basically, in a way, they don't make sense unless you're clear on the first idea we're presenting, which is I feel captured by the statement on page 64. You know, this is the condition we need to be in, or actually realize we are in, which is being convinced. And then he tells us of what, all right? That self, manifested in various ways, is what has defeated us. Now, if you want to keep calling self you, then you're not seeing the statement, because it says self and us. We're in a giant category called us, and the root of disease is in its own category called self. Yeah, it is. Now, somehow or another, just like this pandemic in a way, some virus in a bat jumped over to a human. Well, this parasite of self has jumped into us, and we're fucking infected, and we're in the throes of a huge pandemic, and we act as if we're not. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And so the contact tracing would be doing the inventory. So you would see how self has defeated you. Yeah. And then take the fucking vaccine. Yeah. Which is service, the way of life of AA, so that what? So the mental state would diminish its influence, and some other states could have some influence in our lives. Let's call it a spiritual state. Yeah? So now instead of being led by the mental state, I'm being led by spirit. Try it out for a while and get back to us and see, hey, is it working better than before? Yeah, well, perhaps that's the better way. How would you describe that better way? Trusting something infinite rather than finite self. How do we go about doing that? We don't actually. We do the program of AA, and that's the result. The faith in finite self gets moved to having faith in the infinite, because we've admitted our powerlessness, our inability to do just that. We've admitted it. We've become convinced of that. Yeah? That no human power can keep me or get me sober. All right. There you go. All right, all that's clear. Now we've been in the act of the better way. Did I drive to the position of neutrality? Did I hitchhike? Did I parachute with all the effort and thought? No, I was placed in a position of neutrality. And just to make sure you're really clear, with no thought or effort on your part. What? Yeah. You arrived somewhere with actually no thought or effort on your part. Wait a minute. How could that be? Yeah. Well, because something else is running the show. Yeah. What is that something else? I would say it's you in disguise, but let's call it higher power. Yeah. Yeah. And now the thing that's been talking as you all your life, you're being led by intuitive thought, a sense of something, yeah? And you've reflected on that being led that way, and you've seen it works. So you have come to believe.
Mm.
Yeah, and now what? You're established in a condition that doesn't demand what not being established in that condition would demand. Yeah, it's just that simple. Yeah. If you keep trying to do the same shit that was demanded by that previous condition, it may be actually reinforcing the previous condition. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen people who I worked with, I had to tell them stop doing inventories because it was reinforcing the sense of self. They thought they were so fucking important. Every moment of their day had to be reviewed. Give me a freaking break. That's obsession with self. Yeah. So obsession with self can happen in the way. It can be the way. It can be, yeah. So
Okay.
I'm confident in the message because of the relief it has brought. Yes. And this is a relief that doesn't demand fucking much. Maybe honor and gratitude so that you don't forget.
Mm.
But
Mm.
basically, its idea of any lengths may not be any length at all. Yeah. The
Mm.
slavery to self takes you to great lengths, for sure. This doesn't. It doesn't demand
Mm.
much. Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
It wants, if you're withholding love, it will demand love from you. Yes, that it will do. It will put you to use. Yes, that will do. You'll have to give up, the old idea of being right and ending up alone all day. Yeah, that it will do. Yeah. It won't let your temper tantrums dominate the situation. Yeah. You'll realize you didn't drink or use, and you make up your fucking amends and recognize the humility of your great plans and designs. Yeah. If you're in a certain condition that you need to say prayers, and then for some philosophical old idea you're trying not to, and it's not working, well, give up that old idea. Yeah. Yeah. But why would I want to pray, God, thy will be done, if I'm recognizing God's will is done? I mean, why would I want to pray? I have confidence that if it's being done now, it will be done later. I'm not like, this is what the head does. The head doesn't allow you to really recognize the condition you're in. It has you afraid you're going to be in another condition later. Yeah. So you're like we had here, Jono, or one of the guys from England, would say the third step prayer every day. Please relieve me of the bondage of self. Then one day he realized he was in the relief of the bondage of self, and saying, please relieve me of it, wasn't working anymore because he was relieved of it. Yeah. So the praying was reasserting an old condition that wasn't there anymore. So that it was important to stop fucking praying at that moment, so that he would have the realization, I'm in the relief of the bondage of self. It's working. Yeah. I don't have to pray that it will work. I can observe it is working. Yeah. I mean, it's a living program. You're not going to kill it with fucking old ideas. It's living. It's living in us. Just like the parasite did. Yeah. It's living in us now, the spirit. Yeah, we have our old ways of how we reacted to the occupation of the parasite. They're not appropriate of how to react to the occupation of the spirit. They're not. Yeah. Anxiety isn't what reliance on the spirit provokes. It doesn't. It doesn't provoke anxiety. It provokes an availability and a sense of presence, therefore you're of service. Yeah, that's what it provokes. Yeah. You respond to what's happening now. You're not constantly reacting to an old fucking idea of yesterday and tomorrow. Yeah. Are you in that condition or not? If you keep pouring water on a fucking non-burning house, you're going to get fucking mildew. You're going to get fucking mold. Yeah. But it was burning. I know, but it ain't burning now. Yeah. But it will be burning. Well, not if it's in the right hands. If you're so afraid, seemingly, of tomorrow, that's that head playing God. Yeah. See, you're not that. Well, yeah. But if you believe self is us, then fucking, it's like having a tug of war with yourself. It's just who wins. Yeah. I think it's very clear, knowing it or not, self does not imply us. It implies something other than us. You tell me, if you're a big book thumper, thump on that for a while. Yeah. Being convinced that self, manifested in various ways, is what has defeated us. All right, tell me what that means. It sure sounds like there's a foreign something in us that has defeated us through us by its own manifestations, which we keep calling ours. I would call that the act of being identified as self. Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid diagnosis. And I've been the effect of that. The seeing it that way has produced profound effects. Yeah. and it didn't demand any new effect. It didn't demand any new knowledge. It seemed to be a pretty good diagnosis of what's happening. Yeah. We're listening to something that is not of us. Yeah.
Mm.
We try to live the way it sees us to be, and it hasn't worked. It leads to an incredible level of anxiety where at that moment we're apt to do almost anything to get a little temporary relief. Yeah. If you're so in need of temporary relief, you mustn't be in any relief. Yeah. So you must be in the bondage of self, because that's what the third step prayer is asking. Please relieve us of the bondage of self. I must not be in relief if I'm trying to get fucking relief so incredibly. Yes?
Mm.
So I must be in the bondage of self, seemingly. So what do I do then? I fucking surrender, I hope.
Mm.
I'm powerless. I can't get out of me as me. It just can't happen. I don't know how this is going to work, but I sure know it ain't going to work with the way I work it. So let's fucking submit a day at a time to some other process. Yes?
Mm.
Let's be honest about, we start feeling better. We start having a sense of belonging we didn't have. We start doing esteemable acts so that fucking selfish predator up there moves off of us a little bit. We sort of convince it to give us a little room by being quote unquote good. Yeah. But that can become a probation down the road also. So, yeah. I don't know how you see it. I'm just sharing how I see it. That's all.
Mm.
If it triggers something in you, I suggest you just entertain it and then get back to me a few months later, or get back to anyone.
Mm.
Yeah. And see if it's leading you to where you wanted to go. Based on the admittance, you can't get there. Yeah. So
Okay.
I would imagine it's working because I see the same people here week after week. Well, there you go. The proof is in the pudding.
Mm.
The AA Big Buck does not give us a diagnosis of the real root of the problem. It tells us, it names it self, but it doesn't show us how it's happening. Yeah. Well, I believe obsession with self is a mental activity to reinforce the identification as the self idea. That's how I see it. Yeah. So why you're wondering, why am I obsessing all over this or around this insane shit? It has
Mm.
nothing to do with the shit you're obsessing. It reinforces the self. Yeah. You don't even care about what you're obsessing over, really. The obsession job. The obsession is to reinforce the idea of you. Yeah? Why does it need to be reinforced? Because it's an idea. It's not us. But for it to seem to be us, it has to be reinforced all freaking day. How does that reinforcement occur? Incessant obsessing over shit, which reflects the one that's obsessing, self. Yeah. So it uses everything as a mirror to see itself in.
Mm.
Yeah. What you are doesn't need any reinforcement. It is. See? It is.
Mm.
It doesn't need giant advertising or marketing or fucking branding or whatever, because it is. Yeah. It's as loud as hell in silence. Yeah. It speaks louder than anything that's ever been fucking said. That. Yeah. We need a little of it in our lives. We do. We're too mentally uh, imbalanced. There's just too much interest and attention in the imaginary doer and thinker and feeler. It just is. You could pour like 60% out of it, and there would still be a sufficient amount of attention to sort of guarantee a feeling of being a self, yeah, but at least you won't be one.
mm, mm,
Feeling of one being one is totally different than being one. You can live with the sometimes feeling of being self. You can, but you can't live as it. It drives us to incredible ends. To get maybe just 1 minute of relief, we're willing to pay any consequence tomorrow. That's an incredible bad bargain with the devil to me. Yeah.
mm.
So yeah, you're gonna feel like a self, but as long as you're not one, you can live through the feelings of being a self. They're not gonna kill you. But being a self is killing you, drip by drip by drip by drip by drip. Yeah. It's sort of like the feeling is the way people share. They've been in self, but they get out of it almost all the time. So it's sort of like the horror house in an amusement park. You're not going to be in there for that long. You go in, you come out. You go in, come out. Has it killed you yet? No. Oh, Jesus, I was in self yesterday. Wow. So what? I was in a bad neighborhood also. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if you are the self that's in the bad neighborhood and in heaven and in hell, that's the bondage of self. Yeah. If you're taking yourself to be that, then uh, then you're like a vertical coffin. You're pretty much dead in a way, but you're moving around and doing shit, whatever. But freedom is severely, severely out the window. Yeah. So
Oh, thanks, Paul. So there's some hands already up, but I just wanted to come in with a question. I just wanted to clarify something that I think we've asked this question before, and I'm sure you've answered it before. But I just wanted to talk about the word parasite that you've used, and which I think is brilliant, and the difference what we call the ego in the book and many other pieces of literature. They talk about the ego and the parasite, and I just wanted to get your take on what the difference was, or whether they're the same thing. And is it, you talk about not being able to tame the parasite? Are we able to kill it?
no, you don't give it life. It's not alive. It's not a thing. It's a mental parasite. You can't take an X-ray and see it.
Mm-hmm.
It just sort of described what it was like to live under it. A parasite was a pretty good description of how it felt to be in the bondage of self. So that's why I use the word. But it's just a provocative image of being something other than you. Now, the idea with ego, uh, let's say in watching this statement, all right, I have an ego, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to lose an ego, yeah. So there's two different conditions of ego there, yeah, having an ego and losing the ego. What's having that? What's having both of those conditions?
Mm-hmm.
That's the sense of self. To me, the ego idea, but you don't know what they were meaning when they were using it. Words are crude, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, they're always about something. They never get to the specifics of it. So they were under the effect of selfing, so they called it an ego. Yeah. I think my feeling of the selfing has a lot to do with ownership more. Yeah. So it's not like
Mm-hmm.
people say I have an ego. It's like an ownership. There's something called an ego that you have, but in fact, it seems to have you. And then
Mm.
there's something called an ego you want to lose. I think the you that's in both of those sentences is suspect. I feel that's the selfing.
Okay.
So it's a different feeling. So I'm not a great believer in the word ego.
Yes, I noticed. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel ego is an objectification of the false subject, really. So selfing objectifies itself and calls it ego, so that you can be misdirected. What's trying to get out of the ego is the sense of self. What's thinking
Mm.
it's in the ego, it's the sense of self. Yeah. Lose the
Mm.
sense of self and you'll lose interest in having or losing an ego. You will. It's sort of like an ornament on the Christmas tree, not the tree itself. Oh, I got rid of the ego, but the Christmas tree is still there. Oops. Yeah. So that's my feeling. So the
Okay.
parasite I feel is a mental movement or an activity. Yeah. Just like
Mm.
a parasite claims the life of the host, this mental parasite claims to be the host. Yeah. So
Yep.
the mental parasite has a whole story of us. Yeah. It
Mm.
reinforces that story. It has memories of us and it puts
Mm.
us in the body so it can be thought about and pictured and remembered and stuff like that. And so that's what it's doing. Now, what are you? Are you spirit or are you of a body? Yeah, like Jesus said, you can't serve two masters at the same time. Let's say the two masters are the mental state cast as a body and spiritual. You can't be serving both of them at the same time. So which is it? I don't think the body has any problem. It's what it's being used for. It's being used to authenticate the story of selfing. Yeah,
Mm.
that I'm a long-lasting, independent, separate thing, and I basically have absolutely nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And in a sense, I could care less about your condition unless it has an effect on my condition. Really,
Mm.
that's sort of the unclothed, uncivilized drive of selfing. It could give a shit about everything else, really. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Thanks very much for that, Paul. Thanks, everyone, for indulging me that. And Stephen Paris is.
That's how I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
See it, put it in there and see how you see it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hi, Paul.
Hey,
Hi, I was actually just wondering, would you recommend like kind of being in the sense of presence, putting your energy and attention on the sense of presence? And I was just wondering, that sense of presence, is that what Ramana Maharshi talks about in self-inquiry? Is that sense of presence the I thought?
yes, the I am, you mean? Yeah. The
Yeah,
sense of presence. Yes. You're on. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the mental state will claim to be that which is on. So now the I am is called I am Paul, and now you're off to the mental races. Yeah. And then it
yeah,
has a narrative. So it basically camouflages the I am and emphasizes the Paul. And now you have a giant story about Paul as the I am. Yeah.
yeah.
But really, it's just I am. And it's not Paul. Yeah. So, yeah. The presence is like it says in page 63. You'll start sensing the presence, yeah, of consciousness or whatever. Yeah. This is what happens when you come out of the mental state, being up the ass of self. You pop out and then you sense presence. Yeah. You realize you're available and then you realize you're of service and there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, the who am I is a very, 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 very good little, it's sort of like a super serenity prayer in a way. You can just ask. So when you're going off on a whole tangent of being completely fucked, you throw that wrench in. Well, who is it that's completely fucked? And then there's usually a pause. And in that pause, you can get off the train without getting injured, Yeah. And then you see, holy cow. The only reason why next week is so important is because I'm going to be there, seemingly. Yeah. And then you start seeing the role in your own life and then see something else's role in your own life. And it's not of you. Yeah. 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 So who am I? So yeah. All right. I'm fucking so worried about next week. Well, who is that that's worried about next week? If there's a huge assumption it's you, let's ask it. Who are you? And then it will go, I'm me. Well, who's this me? Then it has nothing fucking to say. And there you are. Yeah. How are you going to realize the role of self? You realize it by its absence. Just sort of like if you wanted to know gravity's effects, the greatest way to know gravity's effects would to go into an anti-gravity chamber. So when the gravity's effects stop, you'll realize, fuck, it wasn't that hill, it was gravity. Yeah? It wasn't the hill was steep, it was I was going against gravity. That's what fucking tired me out. Yeah? I mean, we have total stories why we're tired, but it's usually because there's this huge drag on the body called gravity. Yeah? I'm the doorman for the cat. I got to keep letting it in and out here. It's a very dualistic event, the cat. It wants to go out, wants out, 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 out.
Parasite.
So yes, I like. Actually, it was from whence I come. From whence I come, because Ramana's take, from what I read of it, was that everything goes back to the source. So instead of going this way, just go back, and you'll always end up at the parking space I am. Yeah. All right, Stephen. Not of Paris, but of Glasgow. Yes.
Thanks very much, Steve. That's great. Tanya, you've got a question for Paul?
No,
There
I
you
don't
go.
have. I don't have a question. I started coming to these talks last week, and I I have like I can't like stop being in my heart, like the compassion's like overwhelming. Like I see people around me, and I think I don't, I don't have any words actually. I just feel like they were never who I thought they were, and they can't be any other way than what they are. And this overwhelming compassion that's kind of flowed through this body since I've been a child. Like now I can see that it wasn't me, you know? And there's something I get in these meetings. I connect with that. Like, and I feel like, when I had that epiphany that I was in my thoughts, and like I really felt like I was in a dream, feeling I was in a dream. Now it's, I just, I don't have any words really. It's just an overwhelming amount of I guess maybe it's even release, you know. But I would say this thing that we are is compassion.
Sounds right now. What we are can be many, many things. So, yeah, just remember, honey, you're on the operating table. Don't get up and play doctor. Yeah, it's not over. And so, you know, if that surrendered is the principle you live by, that compassion will be used in a much more liberating manner than it was used by self. Yeah. So it's a great energy source to turn over to the higher power. It is, really, because it will produce win-wins for you and others and shit like that. But here's the cat. See, if this door was self, then the cat's been in and out of self quite a lot. In and out, but it's still the cat. It hasn't lost its catness, but it's in, out, in, out, in, out. Yeah, yeah. Now, the dilemma with the bondage of self is you think you are the cat when you're in, and you're thinking you're the cat when you're out. Yeah, this is the problem. The in and out isn't the problem. It's the idea of the one in and the one out is the same fucking thing you'd like to get out of, really. That's what you'd like to get out of. And we have to admit we can't, and that's the beginning of realizing you weren't in it. Yes? Yeah. But you're not going to get there through power, that's fucking for sure. But you will will realize you are already there through powerlessness. Yes. You will. That's been my journey. Yeah, yeah. The in and out is an interpretation of our experience during the day. Yeah? But it doesn't make anything so. You're not out of what you've never been in, and you're not in what you've never been out of. So there you go, truly. But it can seem as real can be because we're dreaming and we are fucking powerful. So when we believe in false evidence, that false evidence can produce effects. It can, yeah. We can be fucking crushed by last week and next week, even though they're not here right now. So there's a lot of juice that's us that needs to be surrendered to a much wiser distributor of that power than which we've lived under. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So perhaps there is a better way, and it totally hinges on a power called faith, really. And what that faith is in, it's going to manifest into by the vehicle it's put in. So if it's faith in the thought system, you're going to be a producer of anxiety. Yeah, you're going to be feeling the physical, emotional effects of fear with no apparent threat. Yeah, you're going to be like getting a mini, like electrocution all day. Yeah, it's not good for the system. It isn't. Yeah. You hit a point where you may be thoroughly fucked. You know, some people don't come back.
Mm.
Yeah. So this better way is premised truly on a correct diagnosis of the problem. I mean, because if not, what's going to be moving towards the solution will be the problem. You'll be in the act of being identified, seeking for a solution, which becomes part of the problem. So there you go. But that's
Before
great. Thanks for the share. And that you just showed an untouched natural resource. Give it over to the fucking higher power. Yeah. You know what happens with sometimes with compassion directed and claimed by self? It'll turn into fucking morbid self-reflection and fucking emotional fucking, you know, dramas and shit like that. It's the same energy. It's the same natural resource, but it's how it's used and directed is the key. And we've had enough examples of how it's been used and directed in the past. Perhaps there's a better way. Yeah, trusting something infinite by truly realizing the unworkability of trusting something finite, really. I mean, it's failed. Yeah. My head, I would be pulled over by the police. There would be a dead end alley, and my head would say, run down that alley, like I was truly going to escape. All I did was promote a beating by the cops when they caught me at the end of the alley because there was no way to get out of the alley. Yeah. This is what happened all the fucking time. Yet I kept going back and relied on that GPS, and I kept getting jackpotted. And I would go to jail on a Monday night, get out Tuesday night or Wednesday, do the same thing I did on Monday, end up in jail, and I'd be surprised. How am I in fucking jail? Well, I did exactly what brought me to jail 2 nights ago. I was totally you talk about the fog of war. I was in a fog, completely a fog. Yet I felt so right about all of my resentments and my judgments, and it's the judges and the police that are fucking with me. The judges thought of me maybe 30 seconds while they were presenting the verdict on my ass. They weren't sitting all day conspiring for my demise. This was. It wasn't the judge and the police, it was this. So, I mean, we all have ample evidence to see the failure of the system. Maybe you just need a simple understanding to trigger some kind of effect, yeah? Hopefully this understanding we're sharing will be that key. I've seen it open a lot of doors in the past, so we'll see, yeah. All right, you want to get going? Another one?
Yeah. Raf has got a question. He's got his hand up with the Salvador Dali picture there. Raf, do you want to come in?
The wrath of God.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. So here is the situation, I guess, that self, for me, was addicted to busyness, being busy. I need to do this, I need to do that. And now that little by little, I'm detaching and observing that, I say, okay, higher power, God, here I am, I'm available. I am at your disposal. I feel like a soldier that is ready for whatever comes, waiting for the higher power to say, here is the way that you should go. And I sit, and sometimes I try things. I get call it an inspiration and say, let me try this and see what happens. Nothing happens. And I hear another intention and say, why don't you try this? I try that and nothing happens. So step 11, I asked you last time, so to prayer and meditation, and it's not prayer and meditation, it's whatever it is, to seek a conscious contact with God as we understand him. I don't understand him too clearly, but I know there is a God because
No, it's not seek a conscious contact. It's improve. The conscious contact is already
You're right.
obvious. Yeah. It's improving the conscious contact. It's quite different. Yeah.
So there it is. I had that connection often and many times. But it seems to me when I am at the peaceful times, that connection doesn't happen. Or it happens, but I'm not aware of it. Or it happens and I'm...
The peaceful times, you're already in the connection. You're waiting for you to be connected.
But I'm waiting for marching orders. What do I do now? What do you have me to do now? What is your will for me?
Well, obviously it was to do nothing at the moment.
Seems that way.
See, now the past general or the past employer you had, it had to accrue a sense of worth by doing a lot of shit. You're under a new employer. Being all powerful, it may not ask you much for much. Yeah.
Mhm.
See, a lot of us keep behaving as if we're under the old employer. We have a new employer. Being all powerful, it takes care of us if we do what? Stay close to it. You can't be far from everywhere and do its works well. Who's going to say what is its works? If you think there's specific works, take on the recognition of the program and do service. Yeah. As prescribed by the communities of recovery. Yeah, all right. Now you've fulfilled your contract. See if it calls you to go to any lengths. It will, and any lengths can mean no lengths. Yeah, but it's going to be a totally different job employer employee relationship than the old one. That's for sure. There you go. So yeah, sometimes. Doing nothing is the order of the day.
I mean, you do service, like I'm familiar with service. Like right now, I've been going through recovery my whole life. I think it's, recovery from dysfunctionality, all that junk, that the programming that I got injected, from childhood. So I got rid of a lot of that beliefs, all that recordings, in my head, all the wrong apps running on my cell phone. I uninstalled many of those and replaced them for some that were useful. And I tried to do service with that. I say, I'm going to tell my story and how I recovered from that. And I've done that. And I don't hear the people that are benefiting from that. So I say, well, maybe that's not it. Maybe it's not about telling my story. Maybe it's about shutting up and waiting. So it's a trial and error that I'm in.
No, the thing is, you don't want to be in the outcome business, and you definitely don't want to be in your outcome business. So you don't know what the effects you're having on other people. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See, this is the suspension of the old idea. Isn't like I'm going to do service and I'm going to wait around and see if the results were beneficial to others. You just do what you do. Yeah. Just like these Zooms. If I was invested in people getting it or something, I'd probably not do these Zooms. Just put it out and then see what happens. And I don't know what kind of effect it has on people, and that's not my jurisdiction. I just do the service. There's a statement we use in recovery around here is you finally start realizing you've been dismissed from the outcome business. Yeah. You're just doing shit because that's what you do and let go of the results. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am hooked to the fruits of my labor, like the Bible says, or someplace. And I had to let the fruit of my labor go and happen whatever happens. Yeah.
I would realize it's not your fruits.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Let's say spirit is expressing through you. That's the true humility. And if you look at like just the idea of being struck sober, getting sober, it's obvious you really had nothing to do with it. Well, more and more, it's obvious you have nothing to do with a lot of stuff, and that's a great relief. I tell you the truth. Yeah, and then you sort of like the hose. The hose is never demanded to be the water. It's just used to conduct the water. Yeah, it's not. There's no. It's only the hose in self-centeredness thinks it should be the water. It isn't. It's a hose. but it does its job well, because if it stays open and empty, then shit can come through it. Yeah. That spirit, that water will come through. That's really the job of the hose. It doesn't have to live under an insane hose idea that it has to be the water or become the water. It's not built for that. Yeah. So you get used by something through service. You're not the one doing the service. You're getting serviced in a way. Yeah. That's just the way I see it. Yeah. And it's worked over the years. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
See it this way. I came to see it this way. I didn't see it this way. I've come to see it this way. Over the years of being under the influence, this is how I feel about it.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's the best way I can capture it. It's a clear recognition that something can do for you and through you what you couldn't do for you or through you. Yeah. And just an honoring of that and a gratitude for its effects on me and on others. Yeah. Shit. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, bro.
Okay. Thanks. I think we're sorted then, Paul. So thank you very much. Do you want to say your goodbyes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's see everybody if I can. There's David. Thank you, David. David is he's the one who set this stuff up, to tell you the truth. So if you have any complaints, talk to him about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
I'm not in
got.
charge of t-shirts though. I could always do with a t-shirt.
I know you're dying for a T-shirt. Yeah. Well, I'll be the judge of when you're ready for one or not.
right.
I don't know. I'm going to withhold that.
Thank you.
That
Yeah. That carrot. Yeah. Good.
yeah.
Thanks.
So, but I can be coerced into giving it up. I don't know how. Yeah, just get one from the thing, and we'll just go to the thing. Tell
Okay.
me which one you like, and I'll get it for you.
Okay. No,
Is
it's
it
all right.
double X? Do I double X?
Something like that, maybe. Yeah.
No, just let me know. I'd be
Yeah.
more than happy to get you one.
No.
Yeah, the Zen Bitch Slap Corporation will get you one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. They have my name and number then. Good.
Yeah, just tell me. Just look at it and pick one. All
Okay,
right.
well,
Oh, we got Kerry. Nice to see you, Kerry, as always. Yeah. We got Vicky and George from the Void. They're in some other side of the Void. I don't know where. We got Kurt. Always my pleasure. Kurt's the main man down in Redondo Beach. Yes, there you go. We got Mike O W. We got Rob Farr, as always. Always nice to see Rob. And Mickey. Always a pleasure, Mickey.
Yeah.
And another Paul. Paul is another Paul of a Paul. Nice to see you, Paul. Yeah. We got Mike Z. He's one of the main promoters of all this platform. We got Roman from Germany. Nice to see you, Roman. Yes. You better use that radiator behind you, eh? It's cold, probably. Yeah. Yeah. Our heat's off at the house. We have to wait till tomorrow. Owen K. Nice to see you, Owen. Lynn has a beautiful room, but no one's there. But all right, Lynn, take it easy. Joseph C. Nice to see you, Joseph. Always a pleasure. Kristen, always a pleasure. Sarah P. Yes, nice to see you. We got Alan T down there. Nice to see you, Alan. Yeah. Claire, pleasure. We got Jacob from Seattle. Jacob doesn't have his crew there, but it's okay. Hopefully they're not wreaking havoc somewhere. We got Anne. Anne, thank you so much as one of the foundational pieces of the Zoom Zen Bitch Slap Empire. Yes. So we got Stefan, Suzanne M. Nice to see you, Suzanne. Tom H. Nice to see you, Tom. I'm not going to say your last name because of anonymity, maybe. Helen, always. Nina, fantastic. Nice to see you, Nina. Carl, we got Carl. Or Carl. Carl. Sonny, Sonny. Sonny has gone down all those dead end spiritual paths and come back. Yes. It's all the way. That's how you learn. You always come back to the real deal. All right, Danny M. Danny M is thinking about what's on his roof right now. He's looking up. And nice to see you, Danny. Stephen, not of Paris, but of Glasgow. Let's say miracle, Stephen, please, for the whole group.
Miracle.
We're going to end every meeting with that if Steve is around. All right, that's the
Thanks
way
a
to.
lot. Thank you.
We got Joseph, Donovan, Leah. Leah is we've been watching Leah for a while. It's nice to see you, Leah. Yes. Kaiser, Justin K, Verena again. Nice to see you, Verena. Always a pleasure. Rob Hearn, Rob H. I mean, Amy from Seattle with our lovely child. Yes. Michael Stacy, he's given up the flag of surrender. Yes. Malcolm, yes, everyone put up the flag. Oh, Verena, I like that hair shot. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that shot there. Yeah. Wrath, I always think it is the wrath of God, but it's the wrath of God. It's okay. It's close. And some anonymous people, I think it's Lane or Eon, Malcolm, whatever. Malcolm, as always, I'm with you, brother. Oliver K, walking around somewhere. I think he's lost in New York City, maybe. Not a good condition to be in. All right. Thanks, everyone. Oh, there's Stefan from whatever there, Joseph, everyone. Thanks so much for having me, and we'll see each other.
See you Thursday.
Oh, Wednesday, tomorrow night, Thursday,
Yep.
Saturday. Fantastic. Nice to see you, Kaiser, everyone.
Kaiser hosts on Thursday. Good on you. Cheers, Paul. All right, everyone.